Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Monday, August 1st. And wow, okay, another month down. July flew by for me. I know it flew by for Mark, but August could be even better because this is the month where Mark and I are going to take some time off from one another. We love each other dearly, but a little space is good in every relationship. And I know Mark is looking forward to that, as am I, just to be able to kind of get my head cleared. I will tell you, Mark, that today I was contacted by one of the senior producers on one of our wonderful broadcasts at CBS who said to me, but we could get you if something bad happened, right? Yes, you can. And I know you're going to hate me for saying that, Mark, but I do feel like if the market falls apart or some huge announcement were to occur, I have to be available.
Well, you need to lay out what falls under the really bad category.
Yeah, I mean, like a big market plunge would be one, I think. I think a big announcement on the Secure Act version 2.0, and I think an announcement on student loan forgiveness from the Biden administration. Those are my three biggies that I'm keeping an eye on. Is there anything else I'm missing?
No, those are big ones, yeah. But, not like a 2% drop.
All right. Well, Mark is laughing because we used to be at the radio division of CBS. They would call me every time the Dow was down like 300 or 500 points. I'm like, guys, it's not the 1987 crash anymore. Like 500 points when you're at these levels is a difference. So I had to teach them the difference between point loss and percentage loss, which I have done. So that's good. I think I've got everyone well trained. Meanwhile, in your real life, here it is. It's August. You've got just the month to prepare for the academic year to begin. And I know that many of us live our lives based on those academic calendars. Maybe it's because of old memories, but maybe it's because your kids are getting back and ready to go away to school. You've got things going on. Whatever is happening in your life, there's probably a financial aspect to it. And if you would like our help in kind of guiding you through whatever is on your mind, just go to our website. It's jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button and let us know if you would be willing to come on the air. It's just that easy. Today, we are talking to Patrick from Virginia. Hi, Patrick. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
What brings us together today?
So I have two children, 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. My 17-year-old is a rising senior in high school. And then my 14-year-old is a rising freshman in high school. And so obviously, or maybe not obviously, but my 17-year-old daughter is looking at colleges, and we are hopeful that she will enter college next fall or a year from now. So since a very young age, we've been contributing to a 529 really for both children, but more importantly, or more upcoming, is my daughter's 529. And so I've had it invested pretty, I'll say, aggressively in a 529. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it in January and tried to decide.
You probably felt very good in January. Like, let me look at the year-end statement. Look, as of December 31st, I feel good. And now if you look at it as of June 30th, not feeling quite as good, right, Patrick?
That's correct. Not feeling quite as good.
Tell me, wait a second, before we go on, I just want to know, give me couple of details. In the 17-year-old's 529 plan, how much money is there?
Today, it's at $90,000.
Okay. And the 14-year-old's?
So he's at about $50,000. One other thing to mention is that we established an IRA in my wife's name that we are also using or intending to use as a college fund as well.
How old is your wife?
She is 53.
So you would want to use that for the 14-year-olds?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how much is in there?
$40,000.
Are we thinking rising senior? I know, looking at colleges, since you're from Virginia, is there any possibility I get to go to like UVA?
So the plans are that she goes to a state school. So UVA or Virginia Tech or any of the Virginia state schools. Mm-hmm. Our expectation, or what we have kind of committed to her, is that we would pay an equivalent of a state school. And if she wanted to go to a private school or out of state, that would be on her.
Okay. What does it cost to go to one of your state schools a year when you say the equivalent of? So what's the number?
So the number that we were shooting for, I'll say 17 years ago, the number is different today.
Yes.
So we were originally envisioning about 100,000 or to 120 in that range.
Mm-hmm.
UVA today is about 32 with tuition and room and board. The other Virginia schools are a little bit less expensive, but
But you're not so far off when you said 100 to, in other words, you weren't that
right,
far off. Okay.
right. So I guess my question is right now that 529 and really all of the 529s, including the IRA, are pretty aggressively invested
Mm-hmm.
in mutual funds, and I just don't know when I should start making them less aggressive.
Uh-huh.
Now is it too late that I missed my window, or
Do you hear Mark?
she's
You hear Mark Talercio chuckling in the background.
I do.
Oh, it's not nice. Tell us a little bit more, Patrick, about what's going on. So, first of all, so your wife is making an IRA contribution. Is she working also? Is she making that using a spousal IRA? What's the income right now in the household?
She works part time. She makes a small amount. Combined, we make about 160.
How's your cash flow on that 160 to 170 a year?
We're pretty comfortable.
Okay. All right. And do you contribute to a retirement account?
Oh yes.
And how old are you?
I'm 51.
Okay. And are you contributing 27,000? Are you maxing out with the catch-up contribution?
And I'm not. So I contribute 10%, 11% total on a year. I have a 401k at my work. So I get the match plus some, and then of course my wife does the IRA.
And is she doing the whole thing like 6,000 or 7,000 right now?
She does 400 a month into that.
Okay. And what about money that's just in the bank? Boring emergency reserve fund.
So we have about, I'm going to look up the number. So we have about 43 as a reserve or as an emergency fund.
And any brokerage account, anything kicking around like, oh, I thought this was fun when markets were higher.
No, I'm not that brave.
What about the house? Tell us about where do you live and how much it's worth.
So I'm I own a home. I've got a mortgage of it's about 90 left on it. Home's worth about 320.
The mortgage interest rate?
Oh, it's 2.7 something.
So you're not making any extra payments on that, right?
No, it was a 15-year note. And so we've got, I think, 6 or 7 years left on it.
Wow. You are really close to the end. That's amazing. So that's interesting, though, because it sort of looks like, I don't know what your mortgage payment is right now. Do you have an idea? Just the mortgage, the principal and interest, not all the other stuff.
1,800.
I mean, so it's interesting because by the time your youngest is in, sort of finishing up college, you got a nice little extra moolah coming in that can help float some of the difference, right?
That was the vision.
Yeah. Okay. You're happy at work, like life is good, you're comfortable there, and you are secure there, or as secure as one could be at this point in the universe?
I would say as secure as one could be at this point in the universe.
Okay, great. And how much is in the 401k total right now?
Let's see, 1.4.
Is your intention to just keep working? You're happy, like we got to get little guy through college, so that sounds to me like at least 7 or 8 years that you would have in front of you, right?
That's correct. My thought is, and it's a long way away, so lots can change between then and now, but my thoughts are at 60. Phase out.
All right. Phase out is really, let's not go. I'm not even thinking 60 is a nice goal, but I just want to be clear that like everyone who says to me 60, 58, I know that you're all thinking you can tap into that retirement account, but that's a long time that you have to finance your retirement. You could live for 35 years after that. So you're 100% in stocks right now in the 529 plans?
Yes. Mutual funds. Mm-hmm.
Well, and we have a year.
I have two questions. One is, what do I move stuff now? And then two is, what do I do with the contributions going forward? So right now, we still contribute to all three of those college funds. It's a 200, 200, and then 400. So 200 each to the 529s and then 400 to the IRA. So, do I continue with that kind of breakdown or do I change my thoughts? And if I don't have enough in my daughter's 529, do I just cash flow it, or do I don't know what I can do with the
Well,
younger kids, 529.
yeah,
Sorry.
I'd probably steal a little from the younger ones, 529, because I think you'll have some time to make up. Mark, should Patrick and his wife free now we are exactly 1 year away from needing money. And we don't need all of it, but I would suggest that at the very least of the 90, I feel like a third of it needs to come out and be safe so that we have year one taken care of. Mark, what do you think?
For sure, 1 year needs to be like in cash. My initial thought was, okay, you got the 90,000, and then you got the IRA, and that takes care of child number one. And then I would take basically 4, 6, so $800. You put how much you putting into the IRA monthly?
Hold on. Wait a second. Let's just revise that because they can't get the IRA until the wife turns 59 and a half. Don't forget.
There might be an education provision. I'm not sure. I think there might be.
Oh, yeah, right. Is that what you were thinking, Patrick, for using your IRA for education? Or do you think you would wait until she was 59 and a half?
I didn't even know there was an education provision. So,
I'm looking this up right now. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm almost positive there is. You avoid a penalty for sure.
Right. So if you take out the money for a retirement, you would avoid the 10% early withdrawal, but you have to pay tax on it.
Which they're going to have to do anyway.
Yes. Well, not necessarily. I mean, yes, they're going to have to pay tax on it. Yes, that's it. But the penalty is the one. I don't know. Like, why don't we put year one in cash with the other money? So if 30 is in cash, okay, now the rest of the money, the remaining 60, I feel it should be less risky. Do you agree with that? I mean, like we have to go into like a stock and bond. Like there has to be like half and half, I think, of the remaining. Like so 30 cash, 30 bond, 30 stock is what I'm thinking.
At this point, I don't think it should be half and half. I would be more conservative.
Where do you want to go?
I would probably have it 30 stock and 70 bond at this point. I mean, they need that money.
I know the money's going to be spent one way or the other, and it's going to be spent like in some short order. And what if we stop putting new money in and stockpile that cash? So that's what we really need to do. So you said it's 800 a month. Is that right?
800 is the total for all three funds.
Right. Okay. So let's say the 800 a month just goes into your emergency reserve fund. Okay. So now that in the next year, that 800, we now have, it's nice because we'll have like 10 grand saved. So now your emergency reserve will be 53. So then you pay for year one. In a year from now, if you do, I'm not, Mark, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually think I think they're going to be okay. Okay. Here's what I think you should do. I think you can do you feel like, are you anxious about this right now? You want to roll the dice a little bit? Because I've got some backup plans for you if you want.
So I would say I'm not anxious. I'm also, I'm thinking that, she's going to be in college for 4 years at least. And so that's a 5-year window for the
That's what I'm thinking. Cash. That's what I'm thinking. So that's why I think, Mark, I can't believe I'm going to go more aggressive than you. You're going to make the decision, your final decision, Patrick. We advise and you decide, as my friend Dennis Morton at Peloton likes to say. If I did 30 in cash, 30 bonds, and 30, I'm talking about 30 bonds and 30 stocks, then year two, I'm hopeful that year two is actually, we're going to just pull half of it is going to be from your emergency reserve fund / cash flow. And the other half will pull out of the account. And then we basically have to revisit this every year. We literally have to, I need to hear from you. Like you need to be scaling the risk back. Whatever you think you need to spend a year in advance is what you must have in cash, either in your emergency reserve fund or you got some crazy ass bonus and that was awesome, whatever it is, right? You must have that freed up in cash. Now, for the other two accounts, the 529 for our rising freshman and the IRA, those also have too much risk. So 60-40 or 50-50 in both the rising freshman's 529 and the wife's IRA. Because all of this money is going to be spent within 8 years, or not eight. Yeah, it's about 8 years, right? The worst case scenario, like, oh my God, what if? you know what? There are things you can do. Number one, you can borrow from your 401k if you had to just come up with some cash. You're going to have the house paid off. You're going to save that money. That money's going to be used for cash flow. If you had to in a pinch, you could get a home equity line of credit and quickly, have that for a little bit, pay it down. You've got money. It's just a question of, where we access it from. In general, you learned a painful lesson, which is you don't wait around for the market to take a big bite out of your retirement or your college fund. So what you need to do is, everyone listening, if you think you need money within, say, 2 years, that's when you like, ding, 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 I need to reallocate. I need to pull the risk down and free up the cash I need now. And what is your downside? Let's go back a year. Let's say it was a year prior. And, what would happen is at the end of 2020, you might have said to me, I'm going to need this money in a couple of years. What should I do? And I'd say you're going to downshift. You're going to have a lower level of risk. And then you'd be mad at me because in 2021, stocks would have gone up and you'd call me back and be pissed. And you'd be like, why'd you tell me to do that? I could have made so much money. So that's what happens when in a bull market, you fool yourself. Okay, so there's real rules around this that will keep you out of trouble, but you have to be willing to forego the upside in order to make this work. So everyone listening, Patrick's case is instructive. If you know you need money within a year or two, that money sits in cash. But that is also the moment that you start to think, I must reallocate because this money is going to be used. The reason why we tell people to downshift their risk as they are approaching retirement is not because they need all of the money at once. It's that you're going to start to need the money, and sustaining losses is quite painful when you have no new money coming in. So that's why retirees or pre-retirees should get in the mindset of, I'm willing to give up some of my upside to protect against the downside. So I think you already learned this lesson. I'm not beating the drum. Like, you're beating yourself up more than I am, right?
I guess, yes.
It's not so bad. You have money.
So the way I saw it, and Jill, you can knock me down and tell me why not. So I was thinking that with the first child's 529 and the IRA, those 4 years right there are covered. They just need to obviously free some cash up and reallocate. And then take the $800 a month and just put that into the other child's 529 going forward until she starts college.
And then just reallocate at a lower risk level?
Yeah, as she gets older, obviously. Even now, they need to start peeling back some of the risk.
I mean, I think that's a perfectly reasonable scenario. I think it reduces the anxiety to know that, like, we actually we have the money in cash, and rather than having the money going into that 529 plan, the younger one's 529 plan.
I would just continue to use the 529. It's more tax efficient using that.
Because so my thought is, and this is good. We haven't actually had this kind of conversation before. I'm thinking that we want to leave the IRA as long as possible. That's my theory, being that, why do I have to put new money to work? I have money there to work. And the cash flow coming in now is what I could use to pay for college. Like, I want to delay moving too much around. I'd rather not have to have him pay the tax this second.
I mean, $800 a month for the one child for the next several years will probably get them where they need for her as well.
I hear you. I'm torn. Patrick, what do you think? You're the tie-breaking vote.
I like that. I like that idea of what Mark just said. I like the.
All right, Mark, lay it out again. Here's Mark wins on this. I think that Mark is going to be the winner. So, Mark, what is the ultimate game plan for Patrick? Lay it out, nice and simple, for the folks out there in the Jill on Money community.
Well, when I first heard it, that was my initial thought. You got the 90 for the first child. You got the IRA. That basically covers 4 years of school. You just need to obviously free up a year, put that in cash, and reallocate going forward. You're way too risky, but you know that. So you'll do that. And then I would just take the $800 a month that you're currently contributing to the 3 accounts and just redirect that into the 1 account for your second child. And you're going to be doing that for the next several years. I think that'll eventually get you to the 4 years of the cost of college you need.
So then we have 50 grand in the Rising Seniors account plus 10 grand a year for, let's say, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So it's 4 years. It's 40 grand. It's not really 40 grand. It's like 30 grand that goes in there because that last, 3 years. They have 3 years. So we have 30 grand going in there, which is really only equivalent to 1 year plus the growth of what happens with the 50.
If they do that for the next 3 years, $800 a month, they're going to be just about $100,000.
Yeah. Maybe more.
And they could easily, if they had the cash flow the rest, they could do that.
And I was just going to say, and then the mortgage will disappear. All right. I mean, I'm game with that. I'm cool with that. So big picture, we're going to use the money. You're going to get 30 grand in cash right now out of the 529 plan. The remaining money has to be allocated in a much, much lower risk scenario. Maybe, 30, 40% in stocks and the rest in bonds, maybe. And then in the other accounts, your other kids' account, we really should be the most 60-40 that would be there. If the IRA is going to be used over the next, for the older child, then that has to be more like 50-50. And frankly, probably more like 60 bonds and 40 stock. We'd have to reverse what I had said. If you use all that money up and you cash the $800 a month goes into the Rising Freshman's 529 account. That's what we're doing, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I mean, it works for me. I think either way will work. And if you run into a problem or if you get freaked out or if you literally at the last minute are panic stricken and you don't know which way to go, then we can always revisit it. But for now, I think that's a good working game plan. Mark, we're done with these guys. You've got your estate plan done. You've got your wills and your durable powers of attorney, and you have your healthcare proxies. Do you?
We do.
I do believe him, Mark. I think now people are going to just start to lie about that. I believe him too. And you got some life insurance just in case this plan goes awry?
I do, but I probably need to. I set it up when the kids were born. So that was 17 years ago. So I probably need to.
Just might have a little look-see. Have someone take a look at it. All right. If you, like Patrick, are trying to figure out how to cash flow your kids' college, which assets to tap first, you see, it even flummoxed me. I mean, Mark, you had a better game plan. I don't know. I still like my game plan, but I hear where you're going with it. So anyway, if you need some help, let us know. JillOnMoney.com is our website. Click the Contact Us button. Let us know if you'd be willing to come on the air. You might find that we come up with a different game plan in the middle of our conversation. Don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. First day of August. Enjoy August. It's a fun month of vacations. I hope you're all enjoying some time off. Put your hands metaphorically on someone's back. Grit, growth, grace. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.